Hello and welcome to Crash Course AP Literature and Composition. I'm Juan Orange, and today we're talking about Joseph Conrad's 1902 novella, Heart of Darkness. The central question you ask while reading this book is, what is the Heart of Darkness? First of all, some historical context. This book was written during the height of European imperialism in Africa and Asia. Native land was being split up by the European powers with no regard for the natives themselves. Many whites, particularly Rudyard Kipling, believed it was the white man's burden for white people everywhere to civilize and help the colored folk fix the way they live. Many Europeans thought that they were helping people in Africa and Asia, while in reality they caused much more tension and conflict than would have occurred if they had not come at all. At the height of European imperialism, 90% of Africa was controlled by Europe. The mouth of the Congo River is the entrance to one of the largest watersheds in Africa. So whoever controlled the mouth of the river, which was Belgium, had easy access to a huge chunk of the interior of Africa. The most sought-after resource was not coal or crops or easy farmland, it was ivory. Joseph Conrad was born in Russia, but exiled to Poland, where both of his parents were killed. This resulted in Conrad being adopted by his uncle, who paid for his education in Switzerland until Conrad decided to quit school and pursue a career at sea. Conrad's uncle still supported him by providing an allowance and getting him a job as an apprentice on a boat. Conrad worked his way up, becoming the boat's steward. He sailed on French commercial ships, he may have smuggled guns internationally, attempted suicide, and eventually became a British citizen and joined the British Merchant Marine. He began to sail on British ships all over the world, including the Belgian Congo. Later in life, he became an author and based many of his writings on his own experiences. The story begins on a small yacht, the Nelly, sailing on the Thames with its crew of friends. Among that crew is a man named Marlowe, who first describes the Thames as that heart of darkness, and then sits down to tell a story. That's right, it's a frame story! He starts in the city of Brussels, where he gets his aunt to recommend him as a steamboat captain to a trading company doing business in Africa. At the company office, he meets two knitting women, who allude to the three fates of Greek mythology, two of whom were always knitting the threads of life. He meets a joking doctor and eventually signs up for the job. Finally, Marlowe heads out of Brussels on his journey to the Belgian Congo. The first stop along the way is the Central Station. To get there, Marlowe and his crew must travel on land, where they witness scenes of bloody battles and the slaughter of many African natives. Marlowe focuses on his work to avoid becoming emotionally involved with the death of natives he deems savages. When he gets to the Central Station, Marlowe sees a painting painted by a mysterious man named Kurtz. This painting depicts an elegant woman, blindfolded, carrying a torch and spreading the light that she cannot see herself to a land of darkness. Marlowe is very excited to meet Kurtz because everybody is constantly talking about him and how much ivory he brings in for the company. 3 months later, Marlowe boards his boat and leaves the Central Station for the inner station, where he hopes to meet Kurtz. Along the river to the inner station, Marlowe hears that Kurtz is very ill. Soon after, natives attack their boat and kill their helmsman. The pilgrims, Europeans, on the boat scare away the natives by firing into the woods, and Marlowe realizes that Mr. Kurtz has probably been killed by natives too. Eventually, they arrive at the inner station, where Marlowe finds a dying Mr. Kurtz. They learn that Kurtz, through his impressive influence with the natives, ordered the attack on the boat himself. Marlowe confronts Kurtz about this and asks, "Why?" Kurtz tells him that he didn't want to go back to Europe, that he was scared that the company would remove him from where he was. This grand picture of Kurtz as a noble European civilizing Africa that Marlowe has comes crashing down, like a statue of Stalin in 1992. Over the next couple days, the dying Mr. Kurtz struggles with the futility of his own very impressive life. In his last moments, he shouts, The horror! The horror! And then dies. Are we gonna have him do that instead?
Yeah.
The horror! The horror!
About a year later, Marlowe visits Kurtz's intended, or fiancée, who is still in mourning. He tells her that Kurtz's last words were her name, so that she can be safe in her separate world, and so that Kurtz may remain a symbol of a tragic hero. So, what is the Heart of Darkness? Darkness is mentioned over 25 times in many different ways throughout the book. Heart of darkness, darkness of his heart, impenetrable darkness, immense darkness, triumphant darkness, eternal darkness, profound darkness, conquering darkness, barren darkness. The most common answers to what is the heart of darkness include the imperialist heart of the Western man, as illustrated by Kurtz, who is seen as a remarkable man in Europe, but reveals his truly horrid exploitation of the natives. Some people see the heart of darkness as every man's heart, when he realizes how futile life really is. Again, we see this in Kurtz, as he stepped over the edge and despairs in life. Conrad hammers this home by writing, "Droll thing life is, that mysterious arrangement of merciless logic for a futile purpose." Ultimately, there isn't a single answer, and that's part of what makes the book a classic that can be read over and over, if you're into that sort of thing. When he gets to the... I got a little something in my throat.
Fight me, caveman!
They learn that Mr. Kurtz himself ordered the attack on the boat.
He did.
Yes, Noah.
Noah didn't read the book.
You didn't read it.
The horror.
Conrad's uncle still supported him by giving him an allowance, more than I ever got, and connections to a job as an apprentice. God, I'll make a joke there too, but I don't like that joke. Take that joke out.
Eh.
Okay,
Okay, you better
awesome.
make a good blooper reel.